Via telephone, Mr. Robert Kucken. Good morning,
Good morning, Taskmaster.
How are you, Robert?
I am swell. How are you?
Excellent. This is like a great day for you, huh? Something to talk about.
You know, it's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, man.
I was digging back trying to find out the last time that we had a snow that was going to be bigger than this one, and it was at least 8 years.
Is that right? 8 years?
That's what I came up with.
Oh, my goodness. What do you?
I mean, we've had snow, but
right.
to this amount for a snow period.
Yeah.
We had some 5, 6, 7 inch snows, but we're looking at 8, 9, maybe 10, and it's like, wow, this goes back a bit.
8, 9, maybe 10. So what is the genesis of the moisture that caused this storm to come across the country like this?
The genesis of the moisture comes out of the Gulf, like it is wont to do regardless of the season when we start to get the colder air hitting against that moist air flow that comes up. We had the storm system come out of the southern plains and across Kentucky, and they had it in big ice storm fashion out there. We missed that one. And I think you travel a little further downstate into Virginia, there's going to be a little stretch where it's particularly ice, but then also by the time we get to southern Virginia, it's all rain. So we're on that line where it's we're on the cold side of things, and we stay there. But the Gulf moisture comes up and hits the cold air, and that's what happens. And now as the storm pushes eastward, we start to draw the dry air back in out of the north. So that's going to be our next thing after the afternoon snow, is that drier air, cold air, and it gets windier for a while, so there may be a little blowing snow overnight into tomorrow morning just to keep it fun.
There are a couple of holes in this storm during the course of the day, Bob, as I've looked at the projections here. Is that caused by temperature differentials or moisture or what?
It's the flow of moisture. It's some of the mechanics that happen in between the systems. You'll get a little pull of dry air come through. Some things will move a little faster than others, and so while at one point it's one big blanket of snow, if any kind of drying comes in on the back end of the system and starts to wrap around, then you'll start to get these little slots where you dry out. And then this was kind of a two-part system anyway. So at one point it had kind of come together precipitation-wise and merged, but it really was kind of two separate pieces. And we've seen piece number one pretty much come through, and piece number two is approaching for later on this afternoon and tonight. Don't think it's going to last quite as long, and I don't think it's going to be quite as heavy overall. But still, you know, we're not done yet, and it'll be the end of the evening time before we kind of wrap things up. And
but for road crews, this is perfect for road crews because they get a couple-hour break in between, and they can clean the roads. And then when the next next snowfall comes, they've already gotten that top stuff off.
It's absolutely a break for them, and very helpful that you do get that several hours in between where there's less going on, so they can kind of catch up before the next one comes along. It's better than so you have to sweep twice. It's better than one big chunk of snow to deal with for 24, 36 hours. So
yeah, Bob, obviously we depend upon folks like you and the Weather Service for our weather predictions, but I always marvel about looking at the Farmer's Almanac, and admittedly they do not get it down to the same level of resolution that you folks do, but they do a decent job of saying there's going to be 1, 2, 3 big snowstorms during the year. What parameters they use? You have any idea at all what they use to make these judgments?
In general, it has to do with the cyclical nature of the weather patterns and what they expect to come over the next 12 months. When you talk about the La Nina versus the El Nino and the warming versus the cooling, those cycles that deal with the whole atmosphere in general and where those waves come across and when is pretty much what they use. And that comes as far as there's a lot of data, obviously, years and years of patterns and things like that. So you start to see a certain pattern emerge, and you see what follows 6 months later, and more often than not, it'll swing one certain way or another. That's the general idea of it. Is it does use longer range data, obviously, because they're putting it out a year in advance. So they've got to be looking at things that are climatological rather than just the short term systems.
Good morning, Bob. This is John. Does the La Nina have anything to do with this weather pattern?
A little bit. We moved into a little bit of an La Nina, rather, not quite as strong as they had thought, back in the spring, summertime. It was going to be a big deal. And it kind of moderated over the fall especially. But we are in a kind of a mild La Nina pattern right now, and the way that pushes the storm tracks, where the systems move from west to east more often than not, dictates the weather in the shorter term. And so at this point in time, the jet stream and the low system, the weather system scooting to the south, keeps us in the colder air, keeps us in the snow. Now, again, there's variations to that, and the jet stream on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, when we look at where that moves in the atmosphere, that's what pushes warm air or pushes cold air back up to the north and lets the warm air come up, or vice versa. If it twists the other way, cold air sinks down. And we're right in that place where we're kind of in the middle, and that's usually what happens when we get the bigger snows.
So does this portend a colder, snowier winter than normal, or is this just a one-off? You can't make too much out of it.
I think, again, and it's generalities, because even within a season, you'll get bursts of either considerably warm or considerably cold. We've been quite mild for quite some time. I mean, we've been due for a pattern shift for a good long time now, and at least for the next few weeks, it looks as though we stay below normal temperature-wise. I mean, our average high temperatures are upper 30s to near 40. We're just going to be around freezing, 30 degrees, 32 maybe for highs, so we stay below average, so that's the colder than normal weather. And when it's colder than normal, we have a better chance of seeing snow rather than rain. So,
Bob, do we have more snow coming Saturday?
Funny you should mention that.
Indeed.
There's little rumblings going around out there in the weather atmosphere about it. There is the potential for another system with some accumulation. It's pretty early yet. I mean, even this one that we're sitting through right now, 2 days ago, there are all the different weather models. Nobody can make up their mind about anything. But it does appear that we will be in a dry stage here for much of the week, and then along about the weekend, the next system comes through, and potentially some accumulation. As of this particular moment, I don't think it's anything like this one. But, again, accumulating snow, we haven't even seen a whole lot of that. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Robert, here's your chance to give us the Bob Kucken forecast for the rest of today to summarize our weather. Go.
Well, here we go. We're pretty much we're going to be in a lull here now for a little while. Lighter snow, scattered snow showers, less intense than the early morning. But again, late afternoon, probably after lunchtime, 1, 2 o'clock, it starts to pick up again, and probably just in time for the afternoon drive. We'll see some steadier snow, moderate at times. Temperature highs running upper 20s, so it's pretty much all snow. And then it tapers off through the evening time as the winds start to pick up overnight. It's breezy, temperatures quite cold, upper teens to near 20. And some blowing snow develops from what we've got on the ground, and that lingers on into tomorrow before things settle down with the wind, and then we're dry Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So total accumulations, 8, 9 inches or so. Again, anywhere where there's little pockets that develop of heavier, there might be a 10th additional inch in there. But pretty much that's the story. We're like halfway through, maybe a little better, and we've got another wave to go yet, and then we're done.
Bob, you're the best. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, guys.